everybody. I just have a silly joke before we begin this whole thing. And it's about apparently during this coronavirus, the John Lennon International Airport in Liverpool, it was closed because of the virus. Imagine all the people. That's it.
Oh, thank you so much, Joe. That was our sister Joanne, who is known by all of you, most of you certainly, for being our entertainer. So welcome everybody. It's fantastic to have all of you here with us. This was a project that we came about because we just love music, and our gifted sister, as we call her, had this brilliant idea for us to do something together. So let me pass it over to Marialena, who will introduce you to what we have in mind for you today.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Jojo. Thanks to you. We've broken the ice because I think, this is an absolute unique occasion. It is really the absolute first time that the four of us have got together to do something so special. The last time, in fact, that we three sang, and I want to say this whole thing is a joint effort. It's the excitement, what Corona with all its disadvantages has brought us. We've tried to make the most of it. And as you heard Jojo saying in the beginning, we call her Jojo because she has this incredible sense of humor, was that we're trying to get away from the negative side of what this pandemic is doing to us. And our mom has been a driving factor. I'm sure she's up there in heaven and is giggling to bits. And she was the one, Joanne, Mummy, and I sang the last time together 20 years ago. We're not talking about age and we're not talking about why, but it was a celebration where the Fernandeses met. Again, it was a family reunion. As you all know, we're in all parts of the world. And it was a spontaneous decision after a couple of drinks. And somehow I thought there must be something. Andrew sitting in Basel, Sheela in LA, Joanne in New York, Marialena in Vienna. We must do something to get together, and the only thing we could do is to love each other, which we definitely do, and let's try something with music. So as Andrew said, I just took the risk and sent them a recording of the Beatles. And I know that's one thing that we always loved in each of our ways. And it was such a spontaneous response. I get goosepimples just thinking of that moment when I got this on WhatsApp back from all of them saying, yes, we shall. None of us knew what was going to happen. And then Andrew came up with a brilliant idea of a song which I had never heard about. So I thought to myself, oh God, okay, I know most of the songs. And only later I realized this particular song was composed in the year just before I left India for Europe. So what does Marialena do? As usual, she researches. So I went into immediately, and I thought, let me find out a little bit more about this song. We're not going to talk about the name as yet. And as I looked up, that was the second time I got these goosepimples, because the first sentence I read was, John Lennon had been highly influenced by none other than Ludwig van Beethoven, which was the shock of my life. I thought, where does this come from? What I would call, it's our mother's divine guidance up there. And she was somebody who, her two dreams in life, besides love for us, was her religion and her music. And then I thought this has to be done because it just happens to be the year 2020 in which Beethoven will be 250. In fact, in this week, we're not sure whether it was the 16th in which he was born and the 17th in which he was baptized, but it's one of these days. So we are absolutely on time. Maybe it would be interesting. And then I, of course, conferred with Joanne, Andrew, and Sheela, and I said, shall we do a little bit of using Beethoven as a motto? And what was very exciting and very moving for me, as in this case, the eldest sister, was that I noticed that I had brought out something in these three siblings of mine, which was just always there, but was just latent because we've had to find our means of living otherwise. And so each of us took up a job, a sort of a mission, and said, okay, what I'll try to do, I will try to send you parts. I will try to break up the piece and give you certain voices, and it's your decision how you deal with it. And then let's just correspond, because as you all know, we couldn't meet each other. We could not do any rehearsals live. And then I went back and thought to myself, let me see what it was with Beethoven. Now, if we compare Beethoven and John Lennon, who has in fact written this piece, they were both rebels. They were both totally revolutionary in their way of thinking, in their way of acting, in their way of creating. Beethoven almost stole some of his ideas from the geniuses before him. For example, Johann Sebastian Bach. And then he took those, evolved these masterpieces, and put them into incredibly improvised forms, became the visionary and the father of today's classical music. Did John Lennon do anything else? No, he evolved many of his later compositions through structures of probably rock and roll or blues, in any case, jazz elements, which the Beatles took over and improvised on. The other thing which is very common to both of them, they were both demonic in their drive to achieve something. And in this strange manner of theirs, there was a lot of suffering, which is also very common. We know that John Lennon had a lot of mental problems, besides rock and roll, with drugs and alcohol, but it was also very strong in him, and music was his therapy. In Beethoven's case, it was his physical deficiency of deafness, which came very early. And already in 1801, and now I come to the story behind the story, when he composed a piece, which is going to be part of our project, it seemed as if he'd give up very soon, but he carried on almost 35 years towards building up an enormous library of symphonic music. Okay, the story goes following. One day, John Lennon at home with his lover or wife, Yoko Ono, who was an accomplished pianist, classical pianist, he was busy with his compositions and she was, as usual, bored at that time. So she went to the piano and started the theme of the Moonlight Sonata, which is one of the most popular pieces, sonatas, one of the 32 sonatas which Beethoven wrote, Opus 27, number 2. And it stopped John in his boots, and he came up and he said, "What are you playing?" And she said, "Well, I'm just practicing." And he said, "Just repeat it for me." And she repeated it. And the more she repeated these first few bars, the more hypnotic. He was just inspired by this theme and went into the next room. And on his guitar, he reversed what Yoko was playing on the piano, which was none other than what we are going to hear later on, in which John Lennon took this theme, put it to action, and in a very short while, he had composed his own little piece. Maybe Andrew will tell you the name of this piece, and that's what makes it so beautiful. Even Rellstab, who was a friend, a German poet, said, the piece is almost like it's the ripples of the lake in Lucerne. Beethoven had never been there, but this all happened in 1801 when Beethoven wrote this. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say there are elements of classical moments of inspiration in this piece. The Beatles were all very fun. Paul McCartney also got involved in Mozart's pieces, and all this was written in this CD, Abbey Road. Is that right? Which was written in 1969. And I left in 1970, so I had no idea about the song which we're keeping the tension going. And that's all I want to say. And I think in us Fernandeses, there's also this rebel. And so we're not going to give up till you're going to love what we've been doing. Thank you.
Hey, well done, Marialena. Thank you. Jojo.
I was going to continue singing, or should we were going to continue singing the Imagine?
Whatever.
Okay, so I'm the in-between. Okay, so I was going to tell another joke, which was Beethoven. What was his favorite fruit? Come on, everybody. Banana. And that's it. Now Andrew's going to continue.
Yeah, well, my experience with the Beatles was actually really well described. I'm going to break out into song myself now, by Paul Rogers in Bad Company, our shooting star. Andrew was a schoolboy when he heard his first Beatles song. Love me do, I think it wasn't from there, it didn't take him long. Yes, 1962, 6-year-old Andrew comes home from church, and we had the Binaka hit parade on the radio, which was the only access we had to Western music. And what was playing? The bloody Beatles! Oh my God. I think we all just freaked out. It opened our eyes and our ears to a form of music. And I will have to mention here, all we were hearing day in and day out was Marialena banging out Beethoven on the piano. So we got the Beatles. And I said, screw classical music, I want to be a rock star. And that was my first encounter with the Beatles. And it's been a fantastic journey. My love affair with them is an ongoing one. I learned to harmonize thanks to the Beatles. We used to sing at home. Marialena was sadly gone by then, but Joanne and I used to sing together, and then as I went to college and learned more about him, and there's just one little thing that I want to say. When I was a love-struck teenager, I was convinced there wasn't a love situation one could encounter that the Beatles hadn't written a song about. And oh my God, did that help me through my love-struck teenage years. It was fantastic. So, guys, and then I come to Basel and I meet this complete Beatles freak who can play every song. It doesn't matter what. You say a song, Gregor, who has helped us through this project and made it happen. He will speak to you shortly. So that's my little bit, and it's back to Joanne, who will, I'm sure, entertain you some more.
Okay, one more joke for the end of that is what is Beethoven doing today? Decomposing. And with that, I will pass the baton on to Gregor.
Oh, to Sheela first, no?
Oh, sorry. Sheela Maria.
That's okay. Being the youngest, I was so influenced by music. My sisters, my brother, and Beatles was definitely made such an impression on me, particularly John, who I absolutely loved. He and a good friend and I just chatted about him. We discussed him. And when Yoko came into the picture, it made such a difference. But what I loved most about John was, he said, when I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I wrote down happy. And they told me I didn't quite understand the assignment. And I told them that they didn't understand life. And that was just the epitome of who John represented to me. And my love for the Beatles continues. So Andrew, thank you for your influence. Marialena, thank you for your influence in music. And Joanne, for keeping me laughing all the time. So that's my little spiel. Gregor?
Bravo.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Well, thank you very much, Fernandes group, the Fernandes clan, for inviting me to join this great project of yours. It's been really a big joy for me, and I like it too. Yes, my involvement with the Beatles started very young. My father, I had a friend who was a lot older. I must have been around 11 maybe, and he had some records by the Beatles, I think Matchbox or something, and I was really quite taken by them. I really liked that. But then after that, we moved to Brazil, and I remember just telling you about 3 experiences I had. One was we didn't have a television set, so they sent me to the put me into a cinema. I must have been around maybe 12, 13 or something, and the film Hard Day's Night was on. And I couldn't hear a word in the film because the audience in the cinema, they were screaming as if the Beatles were on stage. I mean, that alone was a great phenomenon. So I vividly remember this Hard Day's Night film. And then as Andrew said, yes, then later on, you know, as a teenager, you think the Beatles, all the lyrics, everything is described. You know, I don't want to spoil the party. It's just one of the things that I remember, or Hide Your Love Away, whatever songs. And then a lot later, when I was actually almost finished school and started to learn the guitar, then yes, by then I had known so many Beatles songs that this was one of the things to use as a basis to learn the guitar and to learn the songs. And since then, I think my musical education was influenced a lot by the Beatles, and it hasn't left me until now. I mean, there are other great musicians as well, but the Beatles have really been close to my heart. So thank you very much for allowing me to participate in your project.
And now, dear friends, lovers, family, whoever you are out there watching us, we would love you to listen to our version of Because. It's unique. It's never been done in this fashion before. And most of all, I'll tell you why. It's because it has an accompaniment that's never been done before. Thank you, Marialena. Thank you, Gregor, for putting this all together. Thanks, Jojo and Sheela, for just getting on board and making this happen. And to all you lovely people, thanks for being with us today. Enjoy Because.
It's been a hard day's night.
And I've been working like a dog.
I was going to say, it won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah.